like money, motherfucker? Money be green. Money feel like money. That shit look green to you?
All right, so let's move on to the next fight. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I don't think there's a point.
Me neither.
Anthony Joshua and Robert Helenius. Anthony Joshua straight up on the money line, a minus 2,000. And then they got Robert Helenius, the dog, at plus 1,000. Of course, this isn't the original fight that we thought was going to happen. Anthony Joshua was set to take on Dillian White. And then, of course, Dillian White had to withdraw because we all know what happened. Okay, we all know what happened. And, of course, this happens sometimes in boxing. I personally wasn't too excited for Anthony Joshua and Dillian White anyways. I'm happy it's not Anthony Joshua and Derek Chisora. But we got him and Robert Helenius. And Bryan, what are your thoughts on this?
I don't give a shit. We could probably end the video right there. Like,
imagine
honestly,
if we did. It just end the video. Just end it at that.
Like this is awful. So Robert Helenius is coming off a win in a 15th century castle in Finland, where he beat some undefeated 6-0 dude by knockout in like round 3. And this was Saturday. So a week later, he's going into the ring with Anthony Joshua. And the last time we actually saw Robert Helenius, because I don't know who watched that fight, but the last time we actually saw him, he got knocked out in the first round against Deontay Wilder. On the third punch, Deontay Wilder landed in the fight in October of last year. So Anthony Joshua, if you don't knock out Robert Helenius very early, we're going to look at you sideways. And Anthony Joshua has the advantage of, well, everything, but also the fact that Robert Helenius has been knocked out multiple other times in his career, including to Gerald Washington, who's also on this card that I looked up. That was interesting. Gerald Washington, who has 5 losses all by knockout, lost or defeated Robert Helenius by knockout. So no excuses here. Anthony Joshua, you better get this done within the first 4-6 rounds. I would say first 4. Robert Helenius has been knocked out in the first 6th and 8th round of his career, and also was outboxed in a wide unanimous decision by Dillian White, who is no longer, I don't even know if we're going to see Dillian White again at this point. So yeah, cool. Glad that they figured out an opponent on short notice. I'm sure more people would have preferred Andy Ruiz.
Oh, yes.
Included.
Yes.
I know that the mechanics of that, like the business of that, would have been difficult to pull off on short notice, and Robert Helenius was already in Europe and whatever, but everyone would much rather see Andy Ruiz versus Anthony Joshua. So we'll see. Anthony Joshua wins. He keeps it moving. Oh, yeah, the betting portion of this. I mean, by knockout, it's like minus 400, so who cares? I mean, if you love it as a parlay leg, I'm all for it. If you want to put $10,000 on it for whatever reason, because that's going to happen, sure. I would say just look at group round betting, 1 through 4, 1 through 6, if you could even bet it, because it's not even available in every state. But this sucks. And this is third on my list in terms of fights I care about this week, or fight cards I care about this week, because we just talked about Oscar Valdez and Emmanuel Navarrete on the show. And we also have Manny Rodriguez versus Melvin Lopez for the vacant IBF bantamweight title on Showtime. And Puerto Rican alert, Manny Rodriguez is going to win that fight. So.
Rican alert. A PR alert. We got to have that. Whenever that happens, you should just have blue and red lights just flashing.
Yeah, I'll make sure to get the rights to some Bad Bunny license I could use for like 5 seconds.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Yeah, I don't care about this fight. I just think at this point, like, I understand why AJ was trying to fight Dillian White. And now I'm just like, it's, you know what? Like, let's not just sleep on Robert Helenius. Like, he does give you entertaining fights. You know, he's going to go in there and I know, but you know, he's going to try to go in there and land some big shots. And here's the thing about Anthony Joshua is this is actually a pretty telling fight for him. Like, when we talk about the losses that he's recently suffered, like, he's not in that conversation for, you could say he's top 5 heavyweights, but he's not like the guy in the heavyweight division, right? You got a few guys in front of him. And
I think most people have him 4th right now.
Yeah, and I can see that. And so for Anthony Joshua, if he doesn't have a stellar performance in this, like if he doesn't get the knockout, you said within like 4, I think within 6, because I don't think Anthony Joshua is just going to go in there and boom, knock him out, because we haven't seen that version of Anthony Joshua in a very long time.
True.
And so he has changed the way that he boxes. And so this is going to be another fight under Derek James. And I want to see what type of Anthony Joshua we get. So I think he's going to put on a little bit of a show, but he should get it within the 6th round. Like it should happen within 6. And if it doesn't, then yeah, we're looking at you sideways, because you should be 2-piecing up Robert Helenius, period. Right. And if this doesn't happen, it's like we are going to have more questions. And then I'm sorry, if you were to take on Andy Ruiz, then I would go with Andy Ruiz. I mean, regardless, I would go with Andy Ruiz, but that's just me. I mean, regardless of what happens in this fight, I would rock with Andy Ruiz to win that fight.
I did look to see what Anthony Joshua was by decision. Let's just say that those are very much plus odds.
Oh my goodness! Oh,
I
didn't even see my bet yet. My bad. I'm going with the Joshua rounds 5 through 8. If you go to the alternate group betting, at FanDuel, it's a plus 190. So I did find some value, because I don't think it's going to happen like 1 through 4. I don't see it. I think he's going to be boxing a little bit, getting into a groove. Robert Helenius is going to be throwing haymakers, like getting a little bit tired after the 4th. And then I think it happens within like 5 through 8. It should happen 5 through 6, but like if it doesn't, like I'm not going to be surprised.
I'm not even gonna title this video Anthony Joshua Robert Helenius predictions. I'm gonna title it, does Anthony Joshua or is there pressure on Anthony Joshua to knock out Robert Helenius early or something like that?
Can I be real with you? I didn't even know we were gonna cut this separately. It's not I don't think people are checking for this preview. Like I just don't.
You're probably right.
I think we're just talking about it because like it's
Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, I mean
he's one of the 10 biggest names in the sport still.
And yeah, I mean, like, I'm an Anthony
Which
Joshua
is why
fan.
it's probably worth cutting on its own anyway. But yeah.
Okay, fine, we'll cut it. But I
don't know if you want to like edit this part out. But
no, we're gonna keep this part.
Okay. Okay.
Because if mandatory, we're gonna keep it real here. We're gonna keep it a little bit raw at times. You let us know, like, are you excited for this fight? Like when
I left that on the community poll and people are not. Actually, let me pull up those results. But yeah, I would say with this fight, I'm leaning Anthony Joshua 1-6 because like you said it has to come early. I was surprised you did the 5-8, but I'm not, because I could just sort of see this like linger on a little bit and then people get nervous and it's like, like what's really happening here? So I dropped a couple community things and we have it up. Do you care about Anthony Joshua versus Robert Helenius? 287 votes. 80% of people say no.
Like how many, I'm not going to be surprised if we get like 10 views on this video if we cut it. I'm just saying that it's not an exciting fight for boxing fans. And that just is what it is. And even when we had before, because I wanted to mention this, Anthony Joshua, Dillian White, are you excited about that fight? No.
60-some% of people were like, no.
No one, like that's the thing. It's like, I don't care about him fighting these fights. It's like at this point in your career, I understand why it's the fight that you're picking, because you probably want to tune up before you fight a guy like Andy Ruiz, or if Deontay Wilder happens, like if we end up getting those fights, if we ever end up getting Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, like I don't know if we're ever going to get those fights. I do think Ruiz and AJ is possible for some strange reason. I feel like that's more likely to happen because I think there's less ego there, to be honest with you. I also think there's a possibility where we could get Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. And I think that's the fight that a lot of us want to see a little bit more than Andy Ruiz and Joshua again for a trilogy fight. But at the same time, like, I don't care for these fights for Anthony Joshua, like Dillian White and Robert Helenius. Like at this time, it's like, how many more fights do you have left in your career? Because AJ doesn't have to box. He could literally sail off into the sunset right now if he wanted to. He could beat Robert Helenius and be like, yo, I'm out. Like I bodied him like under 6 or whatever, if he ends up doing that. But if he does it, it's like there's going to be a lot more to prove. There's going to be a lot more talk about where is AJ in the heavyweight division. And then there's going to be talk if he can really beat any of the top guys.
He's in his mid-30s also. So to your point, I mean, look, I want to see these guys fight. I've been wanting Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua since like 2017. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it still hasn't happened, and I'm like, these guys, like.
Can I be honest? I think that's a bad fight for AJ. I get it, but just the AJ, the version that we've seen, like, it's not what it used to be when we saw AJ back in the day.
I think more people, to your point, when we have these discussions back then, I think more people would like, oh, AJ is all around better. He's just going to beat him, whatever. But post Andy Ruiz, post Alexander Usyk 1 and 2, particularly the first one, and seeing Deontay Wilder, how he's like, he went to war with Tyson Fury, but like he still won. He nearly won one of those fights by a knockout, and even dropped Tyson Fury in a subsequent fight. Like he was competitive with Tyson Fury more than people realize, even though he was getting outboxed for much of that. He was very competitive in those fights, and he just knocked out Robert Helenius with 3 punches.
Yeah, so if Anthony Joshua doesn't do it within 3 to 5, like, we got questions. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of the difference of it. But also, it's like, remember when Anthony Joshua beat Klitschko, and everyone was like, "This is that guy." Like, I just don't think that's the same Anthony Joshua. Like, he hasn't really been the same since Andy Ruiz beat him the first time. And then it's been like switching trainers and, all of this, leaving Robert McCracken and all of that. And I think he's in a better spot with Derek James, but I just don't think we'll ever get that version of Anthony Joshua again. And then we get like this stupid fight with him and Robert Helenius. And I'm like, okay, like, whatever, you know what I mean? But nonetheless, it's boxing, so we're going to watch regardless.
And the last thing I'm going to say is Deontay Wilder. I'm on Deontay Wilder watch right now because we haven't seen him since October, and coming up on a year without fighting. I wouldn't be surprised if we turn around and, hey, Deontay Wilder versus Andy Ruiz is actually the fight that PBC puts out in October after Canelo Alvarez and Charlo, which I don't know what that would mean for Anthony Joshua at that point. But I would love to see Deontay Wilder versus Andy Ruiz, even though I think Deontay Wilder beats Andy Ruiz. I think Andy Ruiz is competitive in that fight.
Ooh, I think I would take Andy Ruiz in that fight. I know Deontay Wilder's got that power, but just that speed that Ruiz has.
You love Mexican fighters.
I
do also, but you really love Mexican fighters.
I do. They're my favorite fighters. Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie.
That's your favorite style of fighting. Yeah.
Yeah. So they are my favorite fighters. And plus the speed of Andy Ruiz, the skill. Okay, I'm mad biased. Obviously, you can tell this, but they are my favorite fighters.
Don't say that on the show. Jesus.
I don't care. It's the truth. Like, if you watch TheMandatory, you should probably know I usually roll with the Mexican fighter. I usually do. Like, if we go back and we check, like, I'm always usually rolling with the Mexican fighter. Okay. It's fine though, because people get confused and think I'm Mexican anyway. So we had that.
Who do you think won between Trinidad and De La Hoya?
I think Trinidad won.
Okay, good.
Okay, but I was rooting for Oscar De La Hoya because I told you his impact, obviously,
you were a child at that time, like,
but still, like, growing up as a kid, like, he was still that guy, right? Especially if you grew up on the West Coast and like
you know who I was rooting for when I was 5 years old.
Of course. But by the way, if you like the content, please drop some comments below, like and subscribe as well. And for everyone that's been rocking with us, thank you so much. We do appreciate you. We'll be back with some more content next week. And we also have some really fun ideas coming up within the next couple of months as well, before the end of the year. So make sure to rock with us. If you're also just on like a podcast app or something, take a couple of minutes. If you rock with us, search up TheMandatory with Bryan and Shantelle, and leave us a rate and review. Give us that 5-star. And thank you so much. Bryan, any last words before we get up and out of here?
No, just enjoy the fights this week and don't go broke betting on them.